Let's see what Rossi Bruno at 133 pounds can do for these Michigan Wolverines as he takes on Luke Welch, one of the 3 Welches on this Purdue lineup. There's Luke, there's Chad, and there's Doug at 157 pounds. He is the younger of the 3 Welches, his 2 older brothers at 157 and 165 pounds.
So the family affair here at Purdue. And last week, Luke Welch coming off a win over number 8, Johnny DeJulius of the Ohio State University. So potentially dangerous called early. And look at the knee of Luke Welch, heavily taped on that left knee.
Rossi Bruno got deep in on that shot. Some of the fans here at Cliff Keen were unhappy with the call, but you know what? I think that's the best call a referee can make. Looking out for the safety of the wrestlers, said, it's not worth it. It's just 2 points. Let's wrestle from the feet and see if we can get to that shot again.
Yeah, great point. The number one thing that you have to keep in mind is the safety of these wrestlers has to be a number 1 priority for these referees. And I'll tell you what, Michael Chase is going to make sure that that's his first priority. He's okay missing a takedown or missing near fall as long as he doesn't, as long as one of these wrestlers don't get hurt on his watch.
It's not worth it. We saw just a few weeks ago, Devontae Mahomes at 174 pounds of Michigan misses a season yet again because of that same knee injury that you sustained because of moves like that. And you need the officials to make those calls. And so here we are at 133 pounds, no takedown as of yet. Rossi Bruno looking at a front headlock position at the center of the mat on the block M. And we saw just a few moments ago, Rossi Bruno honored here for senior night. The number 18th ranked wrestler in the country, returning All-American from last year, a veteran here on the Wolverine lineup, which is a team of younger wrestlers.
Right, and I was curious to see how Rossi Bruno was going to come out, because there's one thing to deal with your home crowd. There's another thing to deal with the emotion of senior night. Your last night going to be wrestling here in Cliff Keen Arena, excuse me. How are you going to handle that emotionally? And Rossi Bruno, so far, we saw in the first period, doing a good job.
And you know what? While this is the last time he will wrestle in Cliff Keen for the regular season, Michigan is hosting the national duels here next week, which is going to be an exciting one.
Right, and right now, depending on the outcome of a couple of duels, the Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, Missouri, North Carolina State, those duels will dictate what's going to happen next Sunday here at Cliff Keen Arena for the Bowl Championship Series.
And the outcome of this duel is going to play a big part. This is one of the most important duels of the season. We were just discussing it for these Michigan Wolverines to see where they stack up in the nation.
They absolutely have to win this duel tonight, because right now, if North Carolina State loses to Missouri or Virginia Tech, it looks like Oklahoma State's going to either wrestle Penn State or Iowa.
And Rossi Bruno, as we mentioned, the senior studying biopsychology here at the University of Michigan, 10-8 on the season. Again, one of those wrestlers we said don't worry about earlier on the year, very similar to Connor Utsi. He's very much so a late season type of wrestler, knows when to pick up the pace. Let's see what he can do here against Luke Welch, who himself has been on a tear. Like you mentioned, just knocked off Johnny DeJulius, number 8 ranked wrestler in the country. We were discussing before this dual meet, what is the key matchup? What is your favorite match that you're going to watch here tonight? You said 133, I said 157. We went with 157. I had some convincing to do there. Right. But this one right here, it's tied 0-0 with 1:20 seconds left in the second period. Rather 1-0, Rossi Bruno got the escape to start off the second period, but there's still no takedown.
And Michigan has been getting to their underhooks earlier. You usually don't see them working their offense off the underhook. We saw you saw Utsi working off that right side underhook. Now Bruno is working off the left side underhook majority of the time, switching it up sometimes with the right side underhook. But Purdue is going to have to adjust. The coaching staff for Purdue has to realize that these Wolverines are working off that underhook, and starting with 141, make an adjustment to stop the underhook from coming in.
And that's just right. And if they're not working the underhook, they're working the front headlock. We saw that with both.
And now Bruno switches to a swing single, gets it to his hip and stops the scrambling from Luke Welch and picks up the takedown.
And that's somewhere you have to be cautious. He has that knee. He lets go of it. He's going to continue to work on top. He gets the 2-point takedown. He leads the match 3-0, getting the escape earlier on in the period. Riding time seems to be ineffective here at the end of this second period. He'll end the period with 25 seconds of riding time. And Luke Welch, one of the 3 Welches here on the mat for Purdue tonight. He's a social studies education major as a redshirt sophomore at Purdue. His record so far this season is 13-10, has been wrestling great. One of those 13 wins, as we mentioned, coming up against a top 8 All-American caliber wrestler in Johnny DeJulius, proving that he has what it takes to be a nationally ranked wrestler himself. He just needs to get over these wins against wrestlers like Rossi Bruno.
And I'll tell you,
yep, go right ahead.
If Welch wins this match, you will see him in the rankings next week, knocking off number 8 and 18. There's no way that they couldn't put him in. So Bruno in deep on a swing single to the left leg of Luke Welch. Right side for Bruno. Bruno looking to shelf it on that left hip. Now switches off to a cradle, and this is a potential fall for Rossi Bruno here at 133 pounds for the Michigan Wolverines.
And he gets the near fall, hasn't been awarded yet, hops back.
And he's going to get the fall. Rossi Bruno's going to get the fall.
His arm is in the way. His arm is what is preventing the fall call here. He's blocking the back left shoulder.
Very close. I see what you're talking about. The right arm, or excuse me, the left arm of Rossi Bruno. He's going to have to get his hips on top.
He's going to have to readjust, seeing, and that's what he's going to try to do here. He hasn't broken his hands. Continuing, he still has that ankle secured, and he gives it up. Gets the 4-point near fall in that 6-point move.
But the riding time does come into play, so a potential second major decision here in only the second match of the night. So Bruno has to stay on top for these last 15 seconds.
And Rossi Bruno, heard you say Luke Welch might take his spot in the national rankings, and he threw on a cradle and said, "No, Eric, that is not happening. I'm moving up in these rankings. I'm going to continue to wrestle hard." As he leads the match 10-1 with that extra point of riding time. Phenomenal performance on senior night for the senior Rossi Bruno of the Michigan Wolverines. Wow, great performance.